accelerating space commerce, exploration, and discovery. Are you ready to ascend? I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Rob Meyerson, founder and CEO of Delalune Space and executive producer at Ascend for the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Tonya. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Give us a brief summary of your professional history.
Sure. Yeah, I joined the aerospace industry in the late 1980s, and I worked for NASA's Johnson Space Center. And as a matter of fact, I was a NASA co-op while I was in school, so I did alternating semesters on and off at work in Houston. I spent about 10 years at Johnson Space Center working in aerodynamics. So I worked on the space shuttle. I worked on the drag parachute, which was an addition to the space shuttle that was recommended after the Challenger accident. And I enjoyed working down there. I just loved it. And when I met my wife down there, she wanted to move back to the Northwest, which is where she's from. And so we moved back here in 1997. And I went to work for a company called Kistler Aerospace, which was a startup reusable launch vehicle company based in Kirkland. And I spent about 6 years at Kistler, and I found my way to Blue Origin, which was a startup in Seattle. And I was the president of Blue Origin from 2003 until about a year before I left in 2018. And when I started at Blue, it was 10 people. And when I left, it was about 1,500 people. I worked directly for Jeff Bezos and built the business, the engineering team, and we developed vehicles like New Shepard, and we developed engines like the BE3 and the BE4. So,
well, that's quite a background.
yeah,
Tell us about the American Institute for Aeronautics and Astronautics and
yeah,
explain Ascend.
sure. So when I left Blue, I wanted to do some things to help to grow the industry, and I've been an AIAA member since 1988. So it's the kind of association you join as a student, and there's tech committees, and there's different communities for professionals to get together, write papers. And when I left Blue Origin, Dan Dumbacher, the executive director of AIAA, reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in working on this project, which is called Ascent. And it hadn't been announced yet, and I saw this as an opportunity to really help the AIAA engage with this industry that I'd worked in for 15 years, which many people like to call new space, but it is just space, you know. And there's a group of space companies that have, you know, like Blue Origin, SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, that AIAA was trying to attract, and I felt like I could help them do that. And Dan felt like I could, and I agreed. So I was happy to join. My title is executive producer, and what I'm doing is helping to shape the event in a way that makes it most attractive to the whole community, the space industry, but also the adjacent markets that are going to benefit the growth of the space industry or benefit from the growth of the space industry. So industries like pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, mining, hospitality, telecommunications. These are all industries that in some way over time, some shorter time than others, are going to benefit from being involved with the space industry. And I could give a great example. Telecommunications would be a good one. Today, our telecommunications networks rely on satellite for backhaul, for helping to manage the load of a network, both for broadband and for voice. And as we roll out these new 5G networks, and as companies like SpaceX and OneWeb and eventually Amazon and Telesat roll out their LEO constellations, those are going to be a big part of these telecommunications networks of the future. So at Ascend, we want to attract the telecom industry, terrestrial telecom industry, along with the space industry, and have them, you know, convene and get together and look for ways to partner and eventually build out the telecommunications networks that we'll call home from when we travel to the moon and Mars. So we're excited about that.
And as well, you should be. In fact, to your point, there's really never been a better time than now for private enterprise to expand their businesses into the business of space, if you will. You mentioned a few of these, kind of a high level pharmaceutical, certainly telecom, which it would be a major player. What are some of the businesses? More specifically, what are the opportunities that
Well,
exist in the economic development of the moon?
it's a great question. And first off, the administration just released the presidential budget for NASA, and they asked for a $3.6 billion increase in the annual NASA budget. So for a top line NASA budget that's been in the 20 to $21 billion range over the last, as long as I can remember, getting if they can get a $3.6 billion budget increase, if Congress agrees with that, then that will be a significant percentage increase. The rationale for that increase is for Artemis, which is the program to go back to the moon, to stay and then learn the things that we need to learn to go on and settle Mars. So Artemis includes the Orion capsule, the Space Launch System launch vehicle, the Human Lander System, which will take people to the surface of the moon, the Gateway, which is, think of it like a very small human-tended space station in orbit around the moon. And then the logistics vehicles, the rovers and surface mobility systems that will support all of that. All of these procurements are either active or being discussed right now. So there's a lot of money flowing into the space industry, and the space industry is relatively small. So there are opportunities for companies who are suppliers that want to support the space industry to enter the market, and there's opportunities for advanced technology tech companies that are doing artificial intelligence, machine learning, additive manufacturing, cybersecurity. What else? Things that in-space manufacturing is going to be really interesting. So robotics, again, will be very interesting applications for the space industry of the future. And we'd love to see companies that are interested, that are doing terrestrial applications, but are interested in entering that market, come to Ascend or pursue the business in other ways.
So we've mentioned opportunities, and that's
Yeah,
plentiful. It sounds like. What are some of the challenges and obstacles specifically facing businesses that want to expand into space?
I think getting to know what opportunities are out there is one. The this is the aerospace industry. There's ways to enter. Certainly, we're designing Ascend to be a way to do that. So there's conferences, there's supplier meetings. Partnering with the bigger companies is a good way to go. And then getting in, from the ground floor, so to speak, starting with for a small business, starting with Small Business Innovative Research. The SBIR program is a good way. Working with universities can be a way to do it. And there's many startup accelerator type options as well that are maybe the more modern way to get a new company or business off the ground. So
What does it mean that Ascend will be outcomes focused?
sure, the most companies or most conferences that I go to are very one way. They're one, you go and you listen. There might be a plenary speaker or a panel of speakers. They're talking to you. You're learning something. The two-way interaction is with the networking that goes on with the trading business cards and meeting new people, having business meetings. But what we want to do at Ascend is we want to have working groups and sessions designed to get people to interact, roll up their sleeves, and brainstorm and take a problem and create a solution. So that problem might be, we don't know how to message program X to the community. So we'd have a team that volunteers to go in and work on that and come up with talking points or messaging. A problem might be we need to improve the way these two industries interact when it comes to regulation. One example I saw recently was an excellent discussion on rockets operating in the national airspace with commercial airplanes. And this is a discussion that's going on between the space industry and the airplane industry, the Airline Pilots Association, FAA, et cetera. And it's a very passionate discussion because there's very passionate businesses that are involved in it. But it's something that we need to come to a solution on because if Ascend can be a convening point for discussions like that, I think we'll have declared success. So.
Sounds good to me. And this is a very exciting new time for us all. Rob Meyerson, founder and CEO of Delalune Space and executive producer at Ascend for the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. If somebody wants to connect with you, Rob, what's the best way they can do that?
Connect with me, Rob Meyerson on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Absolutely. And find more of my interviews right here or go to tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.